Picture this: the soft, rhythmic tick of a wall clock in a house too still, too hollow, as if time itself is holding its breath. I'm Vanessa, 32 years old, caught in the slow unraveling of a life I thought I'd mastered. My husband, Brian, and I share a suburban two-story home, its beige walls a perfect match for the blandness that's crept into our days. We've carved out separate territories in this space. His, a sterile office on the first floor where he, a 35-year-old accountant, buries himself in the neat grids of spreadsheets. Mine, a cluttered studio upstairs where I, a freelance graphic designer, lose myself in aimless sketches, headphones clamped over my ears to drown out the quiet. Our bedrooms, too, are separate, a silent agreement we never spoke aloud. Each morning, I pad down to the kitchen, the cold tile biting at my bare feet, and we exchange polite nods over steaming mugs of coffee. The silence between us isn't just absence. It's a weight, pressing down harder with every passing day. Our shared spaces tell the story better than words ever could. The living room couch bears two distinct indentations, one on each end, where we sit like strangers on a bus, never close enough to brush shoulders. Above the mantel, our wedding photo sits framed in polished wood, the smiles in it so foreign I sometimes wonder if those people ever existed. I catch myself staring at it too long, tracing the edges of a happiness that feels like it belongs to someone else. Down the hall, the faint hum of Brian's printer leaks from under his office door, a constant reminder of the order he clings to. While my studio is a chaos of half-finished designs, empty coffee cups, and crumpled paper, my own kind of rebellion against the stillness. The air in this house carries a scent of routine, of lavender cleaner and stale ambition. And I can't shake the feeling that I'm suffocating in it. I wasn't always like this, restless in a way I can't name. There's an itch under my skin, a pull towards something I don't yet understand. I've decided to take a solo trip, just a few days away to reset, to breathe air that isn't thick with unspoken things. I haven't told Brian much about it, and I'm not sure he'd ask even if I did. Standing in my studio now, I'm folding clothes into a small suitcase, my hands moving on autopilot. There's a heaviness in my chest as I tuck in a worn sketchbook, its pages filled with doodles of places I've never been. The zipper rasps shut, a sound that feels final, and I'm caught between dread and a strange, trembling anticipation. What am I running toward? Or is it away? I scrawl a quick note for Brian, leaving it on the kitchen counter where I know he'll see it. Gone for a few days. Back soon, V. My handwriting looks shaky, like even the pen knows I'm behind the wheel of my old sedan, the engine humming unevenly as I leave the familiar grid of suburban streets behind. The windows are rolled down, and the rush of cool air whips through my hair, carrying with it the sharp, clean scent of pine trees that line the winding mountain roads. For the first time in months, I feel a flicker of something like freedom, a loosening in my chest, as the miles stretch between me and that stifling house. The radio crackles with static, some old rock song I barely recognize, but I don't mind the noise. It's better than the silence I've grown so used to. My hands grip the steering wheel a little tighter as the road curves sharply, the tires crunching over unseen gravel, and I catch glimpses of the world outside. Towering evergreens, patches of wildflowers, and the occasional glimpse of a distant peak under a sky so blue it almost hurts to look at. I'm heading to a lakeside resort, a place I picked on a whim from a glossy ad online, promising luxury and escape. It's a far cry from the beige monotony I've been drowning in, and right now, that's all I need. Hours later, I pull into the resort's gravel driveway, the sedan sputtering to a stop as I take in the sprawling grounds. It's like stepping into a postcard. Manicured lawns, elegant stone buildings, and beyond it all, a lake that shimmers like liquid glass under the late afternoon sun. I check in at the front desk, the clerk's smile bright and practiced as she hands me a keycard. My room is on the third floor, and when I push open the door, I'm greeted by a balcony that overlooks the water. I step out, the warm breeze brushing against my skin, and just stand there for a moment, watching the light dance across the lake's surface. It's beautiful in a way that feels almost unreal, like I've stumbled into someone else's life. I unpack slowly, hanging a few things in the closet, but my eyes keep drifting back to that view. For the first time in a long while, I feel like I can breathe. My first day here is a blur of indulgence, something I haven't allowed myself in years. I slip into a swimsuit that's been buried at the bottom of a drawer, the fabric a little faded but still fitting, and head down to the infinity pool. The water glitters as it seems to spill over the edge into the lake beyond, and I settle into a lounge chair, the sun warming my skin. I order a fruity cocktail, something with pineapple and a little paper umbrella, and sip it slowly, the sweetness sharp on my tongue. Around me, other guests chatter and laugh, their voices blending into a kind of background music that's oddly comforting. It's not the oppressive quiet I've grown used to at home with Brian, where every creak of the house feels like an accusation. Here, the noise feels alive, harmless, and I let it wash over me as I close my eyes for just a moment, letting the warmth and the murmur of life around me sink in. But as the day stretches into evening, I find myself restless again, that familiar itch creeping back under my skin. I decide to take a walk down by the lake to clear my head under the open sky. The air is cooler now, carrying the faint scent of damp earth and pine as I follow the winding path that hugs the shoreline. The water is still, a perfect mirror for the fading light, and I stop for a moment, just watching the last streaks of orange and pink dissolve into twilight. That's when I see him, a figure approaching from the far end of the path, his silhouette sharp against the dimming horizon. As he gets closer, I can make out more of him. He's young, maybe late 20s, with a confident stride that seems to command the space around him. A dragon tattoo curls around his neck, its dark ink stark against his tanned skin, snaking up toward his jawline like it's alive. My heart skips a beat, an involuntary reaction I can't quite explain. He catches my eye and flashes a crooked smile, slowing his steps as he reaches me. His voice, when he speaks, is deep and gravelly, like he's smoked one too many cigarettes or spent years shouting over crashing waves. "Hey there," he says, his tone casual but laced with something else, something that makes my pulse quicken. "I'm Luca. I work here at the resort. Haven't seen you around before. First time by the lake?" I nod, fumbling for words, feeling oddly exposed under his gaze. He gestures toward the water with a tilt of his head. "There's a spot just a little ways down, hidden from the main paths. Best place to see the stars reflected on the lake. I could show you, if you're up for it." There's an electric tension in the air, a pull I can't ignore even as a part of me hesitates. I think of Brian for a fleeting second, of the cold distance between us, and then I push the thought away. "Sure," I hear myself say, my voice steadier than I feel. "Lead the way." Luca grins, a flash of something knowing in his dark eyes, and he turns, beckoning me to follow. We veer off the main path onto a narrower trail, tall grass brushing against my legs as we walk. The sound of crickets fills the night, a rhythmic hum that seems to match the thudding in my chest. The path twists and turns, the resort lights fading behind us until it feels like we're the only two people in the world. Finally, we reach a small clearing by the water's edge, where a weathered wooden lounge chair sits tilted slightly on the uneven ground. The lake stretches out before us, a glassy expanse that catches the first pinpricks of starlight, just as he promised. We settle onto the chair, side by side, the wood creaking under our weight. The space between us feels charged, like the air before a storm. I'm hyper-aware of every movement, every breath. Luca points out a constellation, his arm brushing mine as he gestures, and I feel a jolt at the contact. Then, slowly, deliberately, he reaches over and brushes a strand of hair from my neck. His fingers linger there, just a moment too long. The warmth of his touch sending a shiver down my spine that has nothing to do with the cool night air. I turn to look at him, and his eyes lock with mine, dark and intense, like they're seeing straight through me. My breath catches, and I can't look away. The world narrows to just this moment, just the two of us, the lake lapping softly nearby. His hand moves again, resting on my thigh, warm and steady, a silent question hanging between us. I don't pull away. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That night, under the vast, uncaring sky, I gave in to temptation. I cheated on Brian, right there by the lake, with Luca's breath hot against my skin and the stars as the only witnesses. There was a rush of adrenaline, a wildfire in my veins that I hadn't felt in years, a reckless kind of freedom that both thrilled and terrified me. Now, as I drive back home, the weight of what I've done sits heavy on my chest, pressing down like a stone I can't dislodge. My hands grip the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles ache, the leather creaking under my fingers as I navigate the familiar winding roads that lead back to the life I tried to escape. The radio is off, the silence in the car a suffocating mirror to the quiet I've grown to dread. My mind won't stop replaying every moment with Luca. His low, rumbling laugh that seemed to vibrate through me, the way his touch felt like a spark igniting something long dormant, and those eyes, dark and piercing, looking at me like I was the only person in the world. Each memory is a double-edged sword, slicing through me with both longing and guilt. I can still feel the ghost of his hand on my skin, and I hate myself for how much I crave it even now. Miles away, with the reality of my marriage waiting for me at the end of this drive. The late afternoon sun casts long shadows across the highway, the golden light doing little to warm the chill that settled into my bones. My sedan hums along, the engine's uneven rhythm a constant reminder of how unsteady everything feels now. I pass familiar landmarks, a rusted billboard for a diner I've never stopped at, a crooked mailbox marking the turn to a neighbor's farm. But they all look different somehow, like I'm seeing them through a warped lens. My heart races with every mile that brings me closer to home, to Brian, to the inevitable confrontation I can't prepare for. What will I say? How can I explain something I don't fully understand myself? The truth feels like a grenade in my hands. One wrong move and everything explodes. I try to focus on the road, on the white lines blurring past, but my thoughts keep spiraling back to Luca, to the way he made me feel alive in a way I'd forgotten was possible. And then, just as quickly, I'm slammed with the image of Brian's face, the quiet disappointment I've seen in his eyes so many times before, only now it'll be worse. So much worse. As I pull into our suburban neighborhood, the rows of identical houses feel like they're closing in, each one a silent judge of the mess I've made. Our beige two-story comes into view, the same bland exterior I've stared at 1,000 times, but today it looks like a cage, its windows dark and uninviting. I park in the driveway, the gravel crunching under my tires, and sit there for a moment, my hand still on the wheel, unwilling to let go. My suitcase is in the back seat, a silent witness to my betrayal, and I can't bring myself to grab it just yet. I take a deep breath, the air in the car stale and heavy, and force myself to step out. The late afternoon heat clings to my skin as I walk up the path to the front door, each step feeling like I'm trudging through quicksand. My key trembles in my hand as I unlock the door, the familiar click sounding louder than it should, like a gavel falling. Inside, the house is dim, the curtains drawn against the fading light. The air smells of lavender cleaner, the same routine scent that's haunted me for years. But there's something else today. A tension I can feel before I even see him. I step into the living room, my sneakers silent on the hardwood, and there he is. Brian. He's home early from his business trip, sitting on his side of the couch, the indentation in the cushion as familiar as a scar. My phone is in his hands, the screen glowing faintly, casting a cold light across his face. My stomach drops, an icy dread washing over me, spreading from my chest to my fingertips. His expression is blank, unreadable, like a mask carved from stone, but I notice his knuckles, white from how tightly he's gripping the device. My breath catches in my throat, a sharp, painful hitch as I see the reflection on the screen. Messages I stand there, rooted to the spot, as the weight of Brian's silence crashes over me like a tidal wave. He doesn't look up, doesn't acknowledge my presence, but I know he's seen everything, every damning word I typed to Luca, every secret I thought I'd buried in the glow of my phone screen. My mouth opens, but no sound comes out. What could I possibly say? The air between us is thick, suffocating, and I feel the walls of this house pressing in tighter than ever before. Then, without a word, he stands, his movements slow and deliberate, like a man carrying a burden too heavy to name. He walks past me, my phone still clutched in his hand, and heads toward the mantel where our wedding photo sits, mocking us with its frozen joy. I watch, frozen, as he reaches for the frame, his fingers brushing against the polished wood before he pulls it down. But he doesn't stop there. He moves to a drawer nearby, pulling out a stack of old photographs, pictures from our honeymoon, snapshots of us laughing at a barbecue, even the Polaroid from our first date, where I'm wearing that ridiculous oversized hat and he's got ketchup smeared on his cheek. My heart clenches as I realize what he's doing. He carries the photos to the fireplace, the same one we used to sit by during happier winters, when the crackle of the logs was a soundtrack to whispered dreams and shared blankets. Now, it's a tomb for what we once were. I hear the sharp scratch of a match striking against the box, a sound that cuts through the silence like a knife. The flare of orange light blooms as he ignites the kindling, the glow casting harsh shadows across his face. He doesn't look at me. Not once, as he drops the first photo into the flames. It catches instantly, curling at the edges, our smiles blackening and twisting into nothing. One by one, he feeds the fire, each picture a piece of our past reduced to ash. The smell of burning paper fills the room, acrid and suffocating, stinging my nostrils as I stand there, helpless. I want to scream, to rush forward and snatch the memories from the flames, but my feet won't move. Tears prick at my eyes, hot and bitter, blurring the sight of our vows, our laughter, our life disintegrating before me. I've destroyed us, and I can't even muster the courage to apologize. The words choke in my throat, useless and too late. The fire crackles and pops, a cruel mockery of the warmth it once gave us, and I'm left staring at the empty mantel, at the void where our happiness used to live. Brian doesn't say a word, doesn't even glance my way as he turns and walks out of the room, leaving me alone with the dying embers and the weight of my guilt. I sink to the floor, my knees hitting the hardwood with a dull thud, and I cry, silent, racking sobs that shake my entire body. The house feels emptier than it ever has. The silence no longer just a weight, but a wound, raw and bleeding. The next morning, I wake to a world that's somehow even colder. My eyes are swollen, my throat raw from the tears I shed into the night, and I drag myself out of bed with a heaviness I can't shake. I shuffle downstairs, hoping for some semblance of normalcy, but the moment I step outside, I stop dead. My car, my old sputtering sedan that's carried me through so much, is gone. The driveway is empty, just a patch of gravel where it used to sit. My chest tightens as I realize what's happened. Brian sold it without a word, without even a note. It's another piece of me stripped away, another silent punishment for the betrayal he can't bring himself to speak of. Later that day, I'm drawn to the backyard by a strange, sharp smell that cuts through the usual scent of lavender cleaner. I peer out the kitchen window, and my breath catches at the sight. Brian is there, his back to me, piling my clothes into a rusted metal bin. I see my favorite dress, the blue one I wore on our anniversary last year, crumpled and tossed in like it means nothing. The smell grows stronger as I push open the back door, stepping onto the patio with a sinking feeling in my gut. He's built a makeshift fire pit out of that old bin, and I watch, numb, as he strikes another match, the flame flickering to life before he drops it onto the pile. The fabric catches quickly, sending up tendrils of black smoke that curl into the gray sky. My clothes, my memories, my identity go up in flames, just like our photos did. I want to yell, to demand he stop, but my voice is trapped somewhere deep inside, buried under layers of shame. He doesn't turn around, doesn't acknowledge me standing there, shivering in the late afternoon chill. And then, without a word, he walks away, disappearing around the side of the house. I hear the faint sound of his car engine starting, the crunch of tires on gravel, and then nothing. He's gone. Brian is gone, and I don't know if he's coming back. That was days ago now, maybe weeks. I've lost track. The house is a shell, emptier than I ever thought possible. I wander through it like a ghost, my footsteps echoing on the hardwood, the silence so thick it feels like it could choke me. The living room couch sits there, mocking me with its 2 indentations, but now only one side gets used. I sink into my spot sometimes, staring at his empty place, wondering if I'll ever stop feeling the absence like a punch to the chest. The mantel above the fireplace is bare, not even a speck of dust where our wedding photo used to be. I can't bring myself to put anything there. It feels wrong, like trying to cover a grave with cheap flowers. Every room holds a memory of what we were, but they're all tainted now, warped by the choices I made. The kitchen still smells faintly of lavender cleaner, but it's mixed with something bitter, something I can't name, like regret has a scent of its own. Out back, the yard is a mess. The fire pit Brian made from that rusted bin is still there, a charred scar on the grass, surrounded by bits of ash that flutter in the wind like dark snowflakes. I haven't touched it, haven't tried to clean it up. It feels like a monument to my mistakes, a reminder I don't deserve to erase. I stand at the window sometimes, just staring at it, my hands pressed against the cold glass, feeling the weight of every decision that led to this. The grass around it is singed, the earth blackened, and I can't help but see it as a mirror to what's inside me, something ruined, something that can't be undone. I haven't heard from Brian since he drove off that day. No calls, no texts, not even a forwarded bill or a lawyer's letter. It's like he vanished into thin air, leaving me with nothing but questions and this hollowed-out life. I've checked my phone 100 times, hoping for something, anything, but the screen stays dark. I don't even know where he went, if he's with family, friends, or just out there somewhere, starting over without me. The not knowing gnaws at me, a constant ache that sits alongside the guilt. I've tried reaching out to Luca too, desperate for some kind of connection, some explanation for the chaos I unleashed. I dialed his number late one night, my hands shaking as I held the phone to my ear, but all I got was a robotic voice telling me the line was disconnected. I tried again the next day, and the day after that, but it's always the same. It makes me wonder if he was ever real, or just a mirage, a fleeting escape I conjured up to fill the void in my life. The thought haunts me, that I might have thrown everything away for a shadow, a man who's as gone as Brian is now, But the worst part isn't the silence or the emptiness of the house. It's the nights. Every single night, I wake up gasping, my heart pounding so hard it feels like it might burst from my chest, reminding me that some ghosts never truly leave, lingering in the spaces between dreams and reality. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.